going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Convince the Panel. This is episode 5, and today's a very special episode because I meant to do it last week with the release of Superman, but due to some scheduling issues on my side, had to move things around. But I wanted to make sure I kept the 2 contestants that I had locked in for that show. So today's going to be very fun because it is the first themed show of Convince the Panel, where we're going to be talking about the DC universe, comic book stuff, animated stuff, the movies, but most notably the movies and the TV shows, different things like that. And I have 2 comic book passionate DC nerds here today to go head to head. But as usual, I got some panelists who are going to join alongside me in judging today's show. So up first, I'm very happy to be joined by somebody who I've wanted to have on the channel for a very long time. Got to meet him for the very first time in the UK earlier this year when we were there for our buddy Mike of Did You See That's wedding. And that is none other than Ryan from Not Your Normal Geek. How's it going, my friend?
Hi, Anthony. Yeah, lovely presentation there. Thank you very much. But yeah, it's fantastic to be on your channel. And as well as you were saying, it was really nice to meet you at Mike's wedding. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about some DC Universe stuff. And
Yeah, man.
I'll keep it fair. And there's no bribes over here. I'm gonna keep it straight.
Good. That's exactly what I'd want out of a judge for today's show. Really appreciate you taking the time, man. And yeah, definitely the first of many more collabs down the line. And to round out the panelists and judges is one of the contestants of the second show, and it's also been here on the channel tons of times. We've covered the Jaws franchise together. We've done random rambling, random chats on depression around YouTube and all kinds of fun stuff. And that is none other than Movieman. What's going on, my friend?
What's going on? It is good to sit here and be here and chat with you all. Unlike my good buddy, Senior Swales, I am technically open to bribes, but I'll let it go.
Fair enough. Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for both of you guys for joining today, as you're going to help me judge today's show. And now, without further ado, let's get the contestants in here. 2 of the most passionate creators around comic book related content in general, but DC stuff, Marvel stuff. These 2 guys love this stuff. They know this stuff, which is why I invited them on. Up first, somebody who's also a first time here on the channel, but somebody I've really enjoyed watching his content, especially a lot of short form content that he puts out. And that is none other than Alex Haynes of Haynes for Heroes. What's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited for this.
Oh, yeah, dude, for sure. When I watched your videos and I knew I wanted to do this show, I was like, I got to get this guy on a comic book related episode because I knew you were going to have some takes that were going to be super passionate. And equally, now, last but not least, we have a longtime friend of mine that I've known since elementary school, who is easily one of the biggest DC comic nerds I've ever known. The amount of conversations I've had with this guy around DC Comics alone and the Flash in particular, it's insane. And that is none other than Robbie of the Big Rob Theory. What's going on, my friend?
What is up, everyone? Thank you so much for having me. And yes, I love DC, love the Flash. Case in point, Flash tattoo. So here we are.
All right, man. Well, thank you guys, everybody, for joining. Really appreciate all of you guys. And this is going to be a good fun time. And just a reminder to everybody at home, whoever wins and loses today, it's all in good fun. And to our contestants, I want to see some punches thrown out there. But again, all in good fun. Now, for everybody watching at home, D's like, okay, of course, here we go. For everybody watching at home who isn't familiar with the game, here's how it's going to work. Today, I have 8 questions. There is a 9th question in case we need a tiebreaker, but 8 questions. It's first to 5 points. This is essentially how it's going to work. After I ask a question, they will be handled in 3 rounds. We have 60 seconds where both of our contestants will have the biggest, chunkiest portion of their time to make an argument. After that, they will then have 30 seconds to kind of have rebuttals with one another and expand upon their argument. And then they'll each have a final 15 seconds where they're able to kind of round out that argument. I will keep track of it on my phone via timer to keep it fair. Also, to keep it fair so that the same person isn't starting every time. Between the contestants, I will alternate who starts each argument so that the other person has the advantage of hearing the other person begin the argument. And equally, for the judges to avoid having to always have D be the tiebreaker or just the same person be the tiebreaker, we will alternate which judge votes first each time so that it can continually be fair. Yeah, and then it's going to be first to 5. If at any point it ends up becoming a situation where there's 4 and 4, then then yeah, we'll go into that tiebreaker that neither one of our contestants are ready for. But this is going to be a good one, guys. I have some pretty good questions. The judges do not know what the questions are, but I know the questions. I know the answers. There was a couple of questions we had to change because both of these guys chose the same answers, including one of the questions, which was, "What is the best Superman movie?" And both of them ended up texting me saying that the new Superman was their new favorite Superman movie. Movieman is
Oh boy.
a movie at all, or not at all, but a little bit. Not much of a fan. That we had a full conversation on that over on Los Cinematicos over on the Latino Slant for anybody who wants to check that out. But today it's time for a showdown. So without further ado, well, firstly I should ask to anybody who's participating today, you guys get what's going on? Do you have any questions on your end?
No, we're all
I'm
good.
ready to rock and roll.
All right, guys. Well, this is going to be a great time. So let's get to it. And I'll also say quickly, the links to all of these gentlemen are down below in the description box. Go give them some love. Let them know I sent you. Top tier movie related content, geeky stuff of all kinds, all over the place here. So if you guys are looking for more movie related channels, geeky related channel, fandom related channels, you're in the right place. So let's get started with the first question, a pretty straightforward question. And that is, what is the best film based on a DC comic? Robert is going to be arguing for The Dark Knight Rises, the third film in the Christopher Nolan trilogy. And Alex is going to be arguing for The Batman, which was, of course, just came out a few years ago and was directed by Matt Reeves. So, is that his name? Matt Reeves? I don't know why.
Yeah,
For
you're
some
right,
reason,
you're
I
right.
had a brain fart there. All right. So, yeah, with all that said, 60 seconds for Rob, Dark Knight Rises, whenever you're ready. Go ahead, take your time. 60 seconds whenever you're ready for why is Dark Knight Rises the best film to be based on a DC comic?
So overall, I'll say the main reason I chose that was because Tom Hardy killed it as Bane. Like that was just one of the best casting choices, and he embodied Bane in such a different way in Christopher Nolan's run as the director for these films. But also the theme behind the film of The Dark Knight Rises is this theme of justice, this thing of the getting back up after being broken, you know. And it's such a good comic book movie in my opinion because it has comic book essence notes to it, meaning Batman gets his back broken. You know, we've seen that in an animated movie too, and it's just amazing how his resilience, and they show him down in that pit and trying to get back up. And I just think overall the way how they structured the film. I know that there's a division amongst this film. I get that, but one of the many reasons, you know, like I said, the whole breaking his back and him trying to get back up. That's such a comic book thing, you know. Like how do you break your back and then you climb up this pit that is unclimbable, but only one person did it. And then Anne Hathaway was a great Catwoman. She really, damn. Oh.
Alex, 60 seconds for The Batman whenever you're ready.
So the Batman is pretty much based on the comic book storylines, The Long Halloween and Year One, and I feel like this is one of two Batman movies that actually focus on Batman instead of him being overshadowed by the villains of the movie. And it perfectly captures an early Batman in terms of his personality, his fighting style. At the time, he's filled with vengeance and hate. He doesn't care about himself. And I feel like the movie captures that brilliantly. Then there's just the beautiful character development of him realizing what it truly means to become Batman, a symbol of hope. Has one of the best Batmobile scenes in cinema, in my opinion. Has brilliant performances from star-studded cast. We got Robert Pattinson with a surprise performance. Andy Serkis, Jeffrey Wright, Paul Dano, Colin Farrell as the Penguin. This movie has critical acclaim and audience acclaim, and it spawned an Emmy nomination.
Damn. I know, yeah.
All right, Rob, 30 seconds.
30-second rebuttal. Okay. Let's see.
Remember, it can be a rebuttal, or it's also to strengthen your argument. But obviously, use this time to just obviously to also attack each other's points or whatever.
While I'll admit that The Batman was a great film, there's just something about Christian Bale as Batman that when those movies came out, it was just phenomenal. He slayed it as Batman. So did Pattinson, but I just feel like I feel like Christian Bale did such a phenomenal job. And like I was saying about Anne Hathaway, phenomenal Catwoman. I love the way how she portrayed Catwoman, and her chemistry with Christian Bale was just beautiful to see. Just kind of like in Batman Hush, the animated movie.
30 seconds, Alex.
Christian Bale puts on a similar performance as Michael Keaton did, but what Robert Pattinson does in the Batman is truly unique. It's truly different from the other Batman films. We see a Bruce Wayne that is in pain, that is struggling with grief of his parents and is suffering. We've never seen that in a Batman before to that extent. And, you know, that's just what sets this Batman apart from all the rest, and it's truly amazing.
All right, time. 15 seconds to round it out, Robbie. Why is The Dark Knight the best DC movie?
It tailors more to the fact of Batman's whole notion about justice and embodying that, being the embodiment of justice. Even though he shouldn't be judge, jury, and executioner, he just embodies that whole idea behind justice and a sense of leadership.
Time. Final 15 seconds, Alex.
The Batman symbolizes what it truly means to be a symbol of hope, not just for himself, but for everyday people suffering in harsh conditions.
All right. That was a good argument. Good way to start off the show for sure. Two Batman movies, two great Batman movies at that too. And I think there'll definitely be a lot of debate on which one is people's favorites. I will say to everybody who's watching live, feel free at the end of these arguments to let us know who you felt won the argument. But up first, Ryan, you're going to be the first one to weigh in here. Who are you casting your vote to?
Yeah, I mean, this is actually a pretty tough one, to be honest, because I almost felt like they're trying to sit here and convince me on this, because sitting back and thinking, I really don't know if I could pick one or the other. So going off of each person's thoughts, I did like how Alex, and I did very much agree with, for whatever reason, it just kind of hit a light bulb in my head. Yeah, the Batman is a little bit more of a unique take on the Batman character. It's really dark, edgy, kind of takes me back to like Tim Burton's Batman a little bit. But Rob, massively agree. Tom Hardy being incredible. And I have to agree as well, a very, very underrated Batman film. It gets a lot of hate, and I just can't really understand why, to be honest. But if I had to go with one, it's a tough choice. It's a close call. But I'd have to go with Alex, personally, on this one.
All right. So 1 point for Alex there for this round. I'll start off. I'm going to go with Alex by a hair this round. And I'll tell you exactly why. The first 60 seconds, Rob leaned into Bane and the backbreaking, and pretty early into Alex's 60 seconds, he talked about what the Batman was for the character of Batman and how the villains don't overshadow him. And that was like the one ding that I feel that Alex really had against Rob's argument. I think they both made great arguments, though. I just feel like Alex across his time maybe got a little bit more in there as for why the Batman is a better movie. But that was a tough one for me because it's by a hair. If Alex hadn't said that one line about the villain overshadowing Batman, then I think it would have been a tougher call for me, but I'm going to give it to Alex, which means that Alex wins the first point. But as usual, D, I'd love to hear your thoughts on who you would have given the point to.
Okay. So I'm not going to state the obvious because we've all said that both arguments were great. So getting me on that piece of it, I think that what I appreciated about Rob's argument is the emphasis. I think part of it is just kind of the emotion, because I do think, well, even before I say that, I like the fact that you chose Dark Knight Rises, because Dark Knight is the obvious one to kind of pick. And so kind of going for something that was a little less obvious and is a little more divisive. I appreciate the fact that you were willing to argue for it. I appreciate what you said about the backbreaking, because that is a very significant emotional thread of the story, and it's something that does hit hard, seeing his journey there. I do think you got stuck in a loop to an extent with that part, and I understand why, because I did the same thing when I was on. It's kind of like you have the emotion there, and you're trying to also attach it to other things, but that's kind of what you're circling around to. But overall, I did like what you had to say about justice and what Batman represents in that regard. Alex, I'm a sucker for source material and references. So as soon as you said this is based on such and such, I was kind of like, uh-oh. So there's that. And then what you said about him being a symbol of hope, leaning into the whole grief, loss, despair, trying to be a hero while also grappling with all those things, vengeance, anger, all of that. I just think with your argument, you pulled in a lot of deeper threads as regarding Batman as a character. And so I think from that standpoint, that's why I have to give the point to you.
Gotcha. So Alex wins the first point, but it's still super early into the game. We have so much to go through still. Really quickly, a couple comments saying, love all these guys on the panel, so I'm not rooting for one person. Mike also popping in to say Christian Bale will always be my Batman, but between the two movies, I'd go with the Batman all day. Tom Hardy, you need a tunnel a tunnel translator to hear what he's saying. The Batman feels more darker and goes into depth with his detective skills. And Rashad saying that was a tough round that he can't call this one. Well, you're lucky that you were judging last week and not this week then, huh? And that round could go either way. So it seems like there's some division in the comments. You guys did a really good job in that first round. But now, kick it off. First round is done. Time to swing into the second one, which is which DC character that hasn't already had a film or television show deserves one. Rob is going to be arguing for Zatanna. And Alex is going to be arguing for the Red Tornado. So this should be a good one. Robbie started first last time. So Alex, you start this time. Why should the Red Tornado have his own movie or TV show? Take your time if you need it.
So the Red Tornado is a very unique DC character. We have yet to see a superhero movie that's led by a purely android character. They're typically only side characters. But Red Tornado is created by a mad scientist and is possessed by an air god named Ulthun, who, as soon as he possesses the android, he loses all of his memories and just has a sense of doing good. So it's a unique take on the AI story of, like, instead of AI going bad, what if AI went good? And this AI, this Red Tornado, fights against his creator and his evil siblings like Red Volcano, Red Inferno. And I feel like this would be a really fun, unique story and a great chance to connect with something that isn't exactly human.
You got 10 seconds if you want it.
And this would be a super awesome animated film for kids, which would fit easily into the DCU because of the different tones of all the movies.
60 seconds. Zatanna, whenever you're ready, Rob.
So Zatanna has an immense, vast knowledge of the occult and studying at Shadowcrest, which is the Zatara family ancestral home. And her father, Giovanni Zatara, taught her everything he knew, and he rigorously trained her, even though he loved his daughter. And there's a comic, the Zatanna, the Mistress of Magic, from 2011. And it talks about her mainly being part of the Justice League, but also dealing with being a homo magi, which is a person who is born with the natural affinity to magic. Her power scale is ridiculous. Like, she's got logomancy, which is the notion of speaking in reverse and doing the whole casting spells in reverse, which makes it more precise. She's very precise. Telekinesis, all of these elemental manipulations. She is one of the most powerful people in the DC world, and she has yet to have anything. So she deserves to have something because she deals with Nabu and Madame Xanadu, which are two immense magic.
I can tell this is going to be a good one. 30 seconds, Alex, whenever you're ready for Red Tornado.
People already seen a superhero movie based on a magic user. We have yet to get one about a really awesome robot. This would be perfect for an animated film, since every movie in the DCU will have a different tone. So this will be a way to bring in more family and kids into the DCU, especially as an animated film. It'll be the Wall-E of the DCU, essentially.
All right, time. 30 seconds, Rob.
Along with energy manipulation and reality warping and time manipulation, the Justice League Dark is a section of the Justice League that most people, not that they don't know about, but that most people would love to see more about. And I think that should be more in the DCU, because there's so many great people like Zatanna and Deadman and Nabu and Madame Xanadu that deserve to have like a little bit more live action screen time or animated screen time. There's a lot of animated movies, but that's kind of my final thing about Zatanna, sorry.
Time. All right. Final 15 seconds, Alex.
people will be making too many comparisons with Zatanna to the Strange Academy they're planning on making to the Magic side of the MCU, whereas the DCU needs to set itself apart and focus on the robots.
All right, Tom. Final 15 seconds, Rob.
Even though the MCU has the Strange Academy, the DCU needs their own dark essence as well, and you can compare the two, but there are two vastly different sides of magic for both MCU and DCU.
All right, Tom. That was a tough one, man. I'm kind of mad because I got to go first now and casting my vote, and I'm kind of upset that it's got to be me first. That was tough because you both made really good arguments. I think immediately Alex made like a really interesting point for like, an AI that turns good, the notion of the villains of his siblings, and just like a different kind of story that the android characters tend to be on the side. And he also made the ding about the magical characters we already have in comic book movies and stuff like that today. But I do think at the same time, Rob came with a lot of details on like specific abilities and specific things that make Zatanna stand out, and how there is, that darker magic side of things that we really haven't seen on screen as much in the comic book world, kind of, but maybe not on the same level as Zatanna. Oh man, it's tough. I'm going to give my point to Rob by a hair, but you guys both made really good arguments. D, who are you casting your vote for?
I would just like to say, given my experience on the last episode and this episode, this hair seems to be a really recurring theme. So I'm not entirely sure if this is intentional or not, but I just wanted to point that out because this hair thing is a constant thing that's happening.
Listen,
But
I gotta say by a hair because I don't have any hair. Okay, so there's gotta be a balance here.
There you go. But yes, so for Alex, I appreciate you giving me insight into Red Tornado because that's a character I'm not familiar with at all. So hearing the concept of the AI as kind of like what Anthony said as far as understanding more about the siblings and the dynamics and the idea, because we do see a lot of AI going rogue and going bad, and what it would be like for that to be the opposite. In a sense, I would say, as far as Rob, I'm familiar with Zatanna, but not a whole lot. So I love the fact that you really got into the nitty gritty and a lot more of the details as far as her abilities and what she's capable of. Because I've seen her image, but I've never seen her in action. And you made a great point as far as why we should see her in a live action or in an animated film. So I would say between the two, even though I think Alex's idea was a little bit more compelling, especially with the arguments he made, I think Rob, I'm going to give the point to Rob because Rob gave all the, I don't know, I'm excited to see Zatanna, basically. So I'm really excited to see her and just see like what she would actually look like, on the scene. So you really made the argument for me.
All right, so Rob wins that point, but as usual, Ryan, love to hear your thoughts on who you were going to cast your vote on.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to do the tiebreaker on this one. But you can definitely see the passion and the knowledge from both Robbie and Alex. I did really enjoy, as you mentioned yourself, Anthony, how Alex mentioned the fact that we don't really have too many movies, if any, based on androids and AI. But yeah, I personally would have went with Robbie as well myself. I don't know any of these characters, to be honest. So this is my first experience with hearing of what they do and what they are. And yeah, just Robbie really interested us a little bit more. He went more into the powers and just what more I can kind of expect from that character. And I want to, as much as I want to see them both, I want to lean more towards Zatanna.
All right. So Rob wins the point. Congrats, Rob. It's 1-1. The game is still early, boys. We got a lot of questions to still go. We have no idea what's going to go. Rashad popped in here to say that he's never heard of these characters, but he thinks Rob won him over with Zatanna by a short and curly, and I'm going to assume a short and curly hair.
Shut up.
All right, guys. Moving on to the moving on to the next question. This is going to be an interesting one, given the arguments we just had, and this is where I think the convinced the panel is really going to work, because I know Ryan mentioned that he hasn't seen a whole lot of like certain DC things. I don't know about D, but both of these guys are going to be arguing for animated DC films on this next one. So, what is the most underrated film based on a DC comic? Rob is going to be arguing for Justice League Dark. And Alex is going to be arguing for Justice League Doom. So two different Justice League films.
Wow.
Rob, you're up first this time. 60 seconds. Why is Justice League Dark better than Justice League Doom, or why is it an underrated film in the DC canon?
Okay. Justice League Dark, tailored after the first issue from 2011, Justice League Dark. It is a culmination of so many different characters, but mainly like Constantine, Boston Brand, who's Dead Man, Zatanna, and the House of Mystery, which makes and embodies an actual human form so that it can live amongst humanity. That movie is super dark, but it's so compelling because it really dives and delves into the true dark aspect of the Justice League. The one member from the Justice League that really went over to help was Batman, because he's more dark and he has had brushes with death several different times. And it kind of gives you a different aspect of the Justice League that they need, because there's certain things that like people can handle, but there's certain dark mystical aspects that, you know, Superman can't handle. He's vulnerable to magic. So you have to have somebody who knows magic users and who is more attuned with darker aspects of life and various scenarios. And the Justice League Dark movie really fleshes that out with the villains Felix Faust, you know, and it's just
Time. 60 seconds, Alex, for Justice League Doom.
good movie.
So Justice League Doom is based on the Tower of Babel comic line, where villains get access to contingency plans on how to defeat all of the Justice League members. So this movie does an amazing job. One, has awesome fight sequences, but two, it also truly displays how terrifying the Justice League can be if their powers were to be left unchecked. And in another way, it also shows how terrifying it'd be to see these godlike beings on the brink of death in each scenario. Clever and has an incredible villain in Vandal Savage, who doesn't get enough limelight in DC Comics, and Immortal. Clever writing is just how each Justice League member is attacked. And it also shot the mythos of Batman into the stratosphere. This storyline changed everyone's perception on how powerful Batman actually is.
All right, time. 30 seconds, Rob.
So the main entity, Destiny, he got folded by Merlin back in the day from Etrigan the Demon merging with Jason Blood, and that is just such a thing in and of itself, because it's like back in the Camelot times. It's like 500 years ago, and you have this guy merged with a demon that saved his life to help out the Justice League, and that's one of the main things about Justice League Dark. It takes people like that, like a demon actually merged with a man, to help with the things that the Justice League may not really want to dive into, but they need to.
All right, perfect. That was 30 seconds on the dot. 30 seconds, Alex.
Justice League Doom focuses on the inner conflict within the Justice League themselves, and how humanity perceives the Justice League as a threat, which is why Batman creates these contingencies plans to defeat them. And because of this, everyone can say that Batman can beat any character, any fictional character, with prep time.
Cool. Time. All right. Final 15 seconds, Rob.
I'll say something about Batman too. Batman is great because he is the one that recruits Constantine and Zatanna, because he realizes the necessity for magic users who are not afraid to take on the hard stuff, but magic users who also have a strong moral compass like Zatanna does.
All right, time. Final 15 seconds, Alex.
With about 48 hours of prep time, Batman can defeat the entirety of the Justice League Dark team.
All right. Can I just say, the whole time I was listening to this, there was like a little moment that I even saw like Ryan have like a little smirk on his face when Rob and Alex were just like shelling out all these details. I'm like, if anybody was listening to just this argument with no knowledge on the DC, they'd be like, this is the geekiest fucking conversation I've ever heard in my life. But I loved everything about it, to be honest. D, you're up first this time with casting your vote. Who gets your point?
So let me say that I appreciate you both for giving me some insight on both these films, because as someone whose experience with the animated DC films is limited, but I have immensely enjoyed every single one I've seen thus far. I am very much in need of recommendations as far as where I need to go first. So for both of you, both have made great arguments for something I need to rope in to my queue, so to speak. I think Rob, you made great points. I like the fact that you were able to segue into Zatanna again. You made that point before, but I like that you were kind of able to slide in there, because now, given what you said before, I'm even more invested in seeing Justice League Dark and seeing some of these other characters interact along with them. I think maybe some more dynamics of the story I would have liked to have heard. I got some of it, but I would have been interested in hearing a little bit more. As far as Alex, I like what you had to say as far as Batman and his dynamic and what that would mean for Justice League Dark, especially at the very end. I have to base this off of and I love what you had to say about the contingency plan and all of that, but I kind of have to base this off of like, what film would I watch like now, like right now after this stream is over, and it would probably be Justice League Dark. So I have to give the point to Rob.
All right, 1 point for Rob. Ryan, your turn. Who are you casting your vote for this time around?
Yeah, again, another really tough round. There's definitely just a hair between both of them, undoubtedly. But to be honest, this is how close it was. I'm going to just simply go with Alex on this, because I enjoyed how much he said death in the first part of his argument. And I just love the darkness of DC. That's why I'm not huge on the new Superman, because it lacked that aspect of it. But yeah, I just really enjoyed Alex's first part of the argument. But again, very close, but I've got to go with Alex on this one.
Great. So I got to be a tiebreaker. I saw here in the comments we had this debate is pretty good. I got a feeling this might go to tiebreaker, or hockey terms, sudden death tiebreaker. Yeah, pretty much. Man, that was a tough one for me, because I think you both did a good job of breaking down the films, and I'm honestly, by a hair, I'm gonna give it to Alex for the mic drop at the end. But I do think you both made, such good arguments. I think if Alex hadn't made that last little bit there, that made me laugh, I probably would have given it to Rob. But Alex won it with the mic drop at the end. So that's going to be 2 Alex, 1 Rob. But man, we still got time to go, fellas. We ain't there. Nobody's to 5 yet. It's still anybody's game. All right. With that said, by the way, I should say really quickly, a couple of comments. Mike says, I think this round is very close, but I'd go with Alex. Obviously, Rashad with the Alex with the mic drop. It's been said that Batman is always a step ahead. Doom shows it. Batman always has a contingency plan for everything, including himself.
Facts.
So, which is very true, very true. All right, so moving on now to question number 4, and that is, what is the best animated film in the DC, based on a DC comic? The last one, what was the most underrated? This one is, which one is the best? And this one should be pretty good. Alex is going to be arguing for Death of Superman, and Rob is going to be arguing for Justice League Flashpoint Paradox. 2 really good films in the continuity of DC movies. So with all that said, Rob, you went first last time, meaning Alex goes first this time. 60 seconds for Death of Superman whenever you're ready.
So Death of Superman is the best animated movie because it has the perfect blend of capturing the charm and lightheartedness of a superhero genre, especially about Superman, but also combining it with the absolute horror of the situation when he's fighting Doomsday. So first part, Superman, you absolutely love him. He's flying around, saving the day, being happy-go-lucky. He's in love with Lois Lane. That relationship is absolutely beautiful. And then all of a sudden, the tone shifts. Doomsday appears, the one that's destined to kill Superman. And it really does an amazing job of showing how much of a threat Doomsday is, as he's absolutely obliterating the Justice League. The only one that can stop him is Superman. And that's when the tone shifts, because all of a sudden, it's not so happy-go-lucky. You don't believe Superman can survive this event. And the fight scenes are absolutely incredible, absolutely bloody and brutal. Like it's jarring. Just all of a sudden.
Time. All right, 60 seconds for Flashpoint Paradox.
So Flashpoint Paradox came out in 2013, and it starts off the 15 movie continuity of the new 52 continuity that DC did of like the rebirth of all their heroes. And the Flashpoint Paradox is a simple story. Barry goes back in time, saves his mom instead of letting her die, creates an alternate universe, but he doesn't have any powers. So he in essence has to go find Batman, finds out it's Thomas Wayne, not Bruce Wayne. Bruce was the one who died in the alley that night, not his parents. His dad becomes Batman who kills, and his mom becomes the Joker. It's insane. That's just one of plenty different storylines that are different. And Aquaman and Wonder Woman are at war because they had an affair, and Queen Mira found out and got her head chopped off. It's insane. It's such a beautiful movie, but it's so dark because of the nature of time travel. It shows how terrible time travel can be and how petty the Reverse Flash is, because the Reverse Flash is the one who, in essence, caused all of that. It starts off with him gathering the rogues, Flash's villains, in the Flash Museum, and the Justice League comes in and helps out Flash, and Batman and Flash.
Time. Man, I love nerds, bro. All right, 30 seconds for Death of Superman.
The best aspect of the death of Superman is when Superman finally is killed, you feel the toll of it on the entire world, on his relationship with Lois, on his membership with the Justice League, and like the real life implications of that. This is based on a comic there where this is the first time a superhero was just murdered like that, and just the global impact of this. And this movie perfectly recaptures that feeling, that sadness of his loss.
All right, time. 30 seconds, Rob.
The Justice League Flashpoint Paradox just showcases how different things could be and how different Batman is. And not only that, how Reverse Flash, like Batman says it, he says his psychosis requires him to, that you know that he's responsible for all of this in an indirect way. And it just goes to show the idea behind mental health as well, and how crazy it can be even with superheroes with all these abilities, how crazy and how mentally unstable they can be and how petty they can be as well.
All right, time. Final 15 seconds, Alex.
My non-geeky wife cried at the end of Death of Superman. With the Flashpoint Paradox, she was too distracted by the weird character designs.
Time. All right, 15 seconds, Rob.
My non-geeky girlfriend actually really loved Flashpoint Paradox, and after that movie, we watched the next 3 movies that same night in that continuity because she loved it so much.
All right, time. All right, guys, that was a good one. Rashad quoting me in here saying, "I love nerds, bro." Yeah, I knew having the two of you guys on head to head was gonna be great, and it's been proving to be just that. Ryan, you're up first this time. Who are you casting your vote to?
I had a little bit more familiarity with Robbie's pick. I didn't know anything of Alex's, so he had a little bit more of a mountain to climb because, again, just fresh to it, no idea. But to be honest, to keep it simple, I would again on this one go with Alex. But Rob done a fantastic job. He definitely made it seem a lot better than the movie The Flash. I hated that movie, so I'm gonna have to go and check that out instead of The Flash. So appreciate that. I will certainly check it out. Thanks to yourself. But yeah, Alex got, I just think, a little bit better at getting across the intensity of the film. It sounded really just intense. I just think that was put across a little bit better. But again, really both. But Alex on this one.
All right, so that's one for Alex. Yeah, that was a tough one for me because of the two movies, I prefer Flashpoint Paradox. I love Flashpoint Paradox. I think it's a great movie. But I gotta say, I think Alex may have pointed a little bit more into the impact it was having in the story that the title has, Doomsday's darkness. But on the flip side, Rob was painting this like really cool picture of this alternate world. But at a certain point, it felt like Rob was kind of like telling me the story more than like the impact of the events in the story. And I just think that Alex may have gotten that across a little bit more. So I'm going to give my point to Alex, which means Alex wins the point. But as usual, D, where are you leaning?
Yeah, I was going to say I am more familiar with Flashpoint Paradox, and it definitely was very shocking and traumatic experience the first time I watched it. I am familiar with the story of Death of Superman, but I haven't seen it yet. So I do agree with Anthony in that I think, because I made the same mistake, but after a certain point, you get more into the plot versus like its personal impact on you. And I think that's where you have to lean a bit deeper, because some of us may have seen it, some of us may not have seen it. But beyond just the the darker aspects of it. I just wanted to know more about, like, this is what I felt. This is what my experience with this was. With Alex, given that I didn't have a huge interest, or the interest level wasn't as high at that point, I wasn't really sure what to make of Death of Superman, and I do appreciate the argument you made for it as far as the tone and where it shifts after a certain point. Both of you, good job playing the girlfriend / partner / wife card, because that was that was really well done. I would say, given that Alex might have pulled me over into watching a film that I would have watched at some point, but might have a little bit more incentive to watch earlier than I would have, I'd have to give it to Alex.
All right. So Alex wins that point, but again, it's still anybody's game. 3-1. Real quickly, we got Mike popping in here saying, whatever happens at the end of this debate, Alex and Rob need to open up a DC fan club page / group for people who want to convert to nerdism. The passion for DC from both of you is absolutely perfect casting. Yeah. I mean, if you guys watch these guys' channels, like, you know, whoever wins or loses today, if there's anything that I know about Rob and Alex, these guys know their stuff. They're passionate about it, and it comes through in their content for sure. So happy to have you guys on. This is a tough one as a judge. You know, sometimes you hope for those where it's like somebody's the clear winner. Yeah, none of that has happened here in these arguments for me. Now moving on to one that I've honestly been really looking forward to. We've been talking about the best, the most underrated, what should, but let's just get to the garbanzo beans, bro. Let's get to the crap, which is, what is the worst film based on a DC comic? Rob is going to be arguing for the final film in the Christopher Reeve timeline, which is Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, and Alex is arguing for Batman versus Superman, Zack Snyder's sequel to Man of Steel. So yeah, Batman versus Superman versus Quest for Peace. I think Robbie who started last time? I think Alex started last time. Yeah. So Rob, whenever you're ready, 60 seconds, go for
it. Well, there's this is just okay. Where to even start? So, I mean, Mark Pillow played the Nuclear Man, and that was just a travesty in and of itself that should never, ever, ever, forever, never grace the screens ever again, because it's just Lex Luthor. Come on, bro. We could have done something better. Like, I saw this movie when I was younger, and I was like, what is this? It's just the idea that you have this guy come in and can take over for Perry, and his daughter comes in, and not only that, there's a moment where the girl gets flown into space and she's fine, and it's just a travesty on all accounts. Even Christopher Reeve, like, but in Superman 1 and 2, he seemed like he was so much more into it. Superman 4, he kind of seemed like he was just taking a la-di-da stroll down the beach and didn't really care about what was going on, what was happening. It just was overall not a great film because the writing was off, the acting didn't seem right, and it's just the story didn't really make any sense, and it didn't pan out for me personally. Like, I felt dejected from a Superman film. Like, ooh.
60 seconds for Batman versus Superman.
Sorry. Hate that movie.
God. Batman versus Superman on paper is such an easy slam dunk of a concept, yet somehow they managed to fumble it. It's a complete misunderstanding of its two main characters. It has a complete disregard of the previous film, Man of Steel, and waste of an amazing cast. It's 2.5 hours of it explaining how Lex Luthor is framing Superman, even though that was clear within 20 minutes of it. The fight that the whole movie is marketing between Batman and Superman isn't until the very end, and it's like 7 minutes long. It wastes an amazing villain in Doomsday. The death of Superman falls completely flat. You don't care for it, and there's just a lack of any personality whatsoever to make you even care about it. So you're just sitting there for 3 hours, just blah.
All right, time. 30 seconds, Rob.
I will say that I will tailor on what he said about like there's no anything like no kind of emotion or anything really, because that's the same thing with Superman 4. There's just no kind of emotion. There's no sense of stakes. You have John Cryer who played Lenny with Lex, and that was just a mistake. I don't know who decided that, but you just don't really get a feel for any of the characters. Even Superman, you don't even feel like it's the Man of Steel. He's supposed to be taking care of all these nukes that this kid asked him to get rid of all the nuclear powers in the world, and he goes back and forth about it, and then he decides to do it, and it's a lot of it just doesn't make any sense.
Time. 30 seconds, Alex.
The writing in Batman versus Superman is terrible. In the Ultimate Edition, you have a woman saying, my husband was a lot of things, but he was also a father. She's referring to a human trafficker, the dude that had women locked in a cage in his basement. So what are you even talking about? That's the type of writing this movie has.
All right, you got 10 seconds if you want it.
And Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor, Jesus Christ.
All right. 15 seconds, Rob. Sorry, I lost track of where I was.
This movie is caca cheese, and nobody needs to watch it. Nobody needs to even talk about it or bring it back up, because it just did not hit the mark at all as a Superman film. Christopher Reeve was disinterested in doing the movie itself. That says it all. That literally says it all.
All right. And final 15 seconds, Alex.
The most successful thing to come out of Batman v Superman is an internet meme making fun of it. Save Martha? Are you kidding me?
All right, time. Oh man, I thought that was going to be a little easier, but it was not. You both made really good arguments. I will say this, and moving forward, I do implore the two of you guys to like ding at each other's stuff, maybe like argue against specific points other than just expanding upon yours. But you both made great arguments. I think for me, Rob made a better case for why the movie's worse, whereas Alex, it felt like he made a better point for like where he feels like maybe it doesn't attach to like the what these characters were before or his personal expectations of it. I think you both painted on two movies that are lackluster to say the least. But I think for me, I'm going to give my point to Rob because I think he painted a better picture, and even just saying that the main star was disinterested in doing it. I just think he painted a better picture of a worse movie for me. D, what about you? Who are you casting your vote for?
So I would say with Rob, this is obviously a great choice. I've never seen it, but I've heard enough to know that it's a pretty wretched film. And I felt like I was able to get a greater sense on your end of why it was such, I guess, an unfortunate film to experience. Let's see. I would say as far as Alex, my bias is more towards this film, so I was really a little bit more attuned for and kind of looking for certain things for you to mention. I do think you mentioned a lot. I would have personally preferred to hear Martha at some point, and you didn't give me that. You said save Martha, but I wanted that core piece to be mentioned in a more specific way, but that's fine. And a lot of the elements that made it a film that I despise. I also like what you said about the human trafficker line, because there's that as well. This is with a marginal bias in mind, a hair of a bias, if you will, then I'll go with Alex.
All right. So one Alex, one Rob, meaning that Ryan, you got to have the fun job of breaking the tie.
I thought this was going to be an easy job because this could get me booted out of here, but I really enjoy Batman versus Superman personally. But Alex brought up some great points that I don't think anybody could disagree with. Jesse Eisenberg, what on earth was that? And the whole Martha palaver. But overall, I do really enjoy Batman versus Superman. And Rob, just pretty much clarified, I just don't want to be seeing this film, and why everybody seems to dislike it as well. So I think because of my love for Batman versus Superman, Rob gets the point for me, just getting that across that I need to stay away from Superman: The Quest of Peace.
All right. So it's still anybody's game. 3
Yes.
Alex, 2 Rob.
You said Superman Quest for Peace. I was like,
Quest
damn.
for-
I was like, well, here we go.
Once you
Batman
guys
versus
sent
Superman.
over your options, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a good one for sure. Really quickly, just a couple of comments. Mike popping in here. What a way to end a battle. Martha, why did you say that name? BBS proves that Jesse Eisenberg should never be in a superhero movie. At least with Superman 4, the guy who played Nuclear Man is ripped.
I mean, yeah.
Another tough round to call, but got to use my bias. Quest for Peace is the absolute worst. I thought the best thing that happened in Batman vs Superman is the end credits. So yeah, some divisive takes there in the comments for sure. But it's still anybody's game. So moving on now to a question I've also been really excited for, which is what is the best casting of a DC character in live action? Rob is going to be arguing for Grant Gustin, who played the Flash across the entirety of the 7, 8 seasons, 9 seasons on the CW, and Alex is going to be arguing for Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. So this is going to be a good argument for sure. Rob, we started last time with you. So Alex, 60 seconds for why Margot Robbie is the best casting of a DC character.
Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is an example of what you want out of an actor or an actress performing as a superhero character. You want someone that truly respects what the character is and goes all in with it. Her performance as Harley Quinn is like ripped straight from the comics and just put on the screen. And in every instance where she's playing as Harley Quinn, she is giving her absolute best. Even in the extremely lackluster Suicide Squad movie, which is very demoralizing for a performer, I assume, she is all in, and she made part of that movie enjoyable. She perfectly captures both the insanity and the intelligence of Harley Quinn, because she is also a doctor. She's a therapist. She's very intelligent, very strategic. She was able to manipulate my emotions as the character in any way. When she acted villainous, I hated her. When she was more heroic, I was able to love her.
Rob, 60 seconds for Grant Gustin.
When watching Grant Gustin on the screen as Barry and as the Flash, you truly feel the sense of hope that the Flash presents. You truly feel like this person just cares about any and everyone, despite what he has been through. He has seen more pain and just terrible darkness in his life than anyone. And Grant Gustin brings that to his performance, yet he brings that sense of hope like the Flash does in the comics. Not as ripped as the Flash in the comics that a lot of fans talk about, but that doesn't matter because that's who he is. That's who Grant is. Grant is the Flash because he made you feel. He made me love the character that I already loved from my childhood even more, because he embodied that sense of, I'm going to make this happen no matter what happens. When he gets angry and truly shows what he can do, Grant Gustin really makes you scared, like, whoa, this is crazy. The Flash is getting dark here. But then when he's hopeful, he just runs at the speed of light like we know he can.
Time. 30 seconds, Alex.
Another thing Margot Robbie does perfectly is capture what the trauma of being in an abusive relationship, which we see throughout her story as Harley Quinn, how she constantly wants to go back to the Joker, and how she's also slowly trying to break herself apart. And just that character arc from the movie she's been in is so beautiful to watch and inspiring to me. And it even brought me to tears in the final Suicide Squad movie. And I just think can be talked.
All right, 30 seconds, Rob.
just like Barry slash the Flash is just so obsessed with time in the comics, that's exactly what Grant Gustin brings. And he shows his emotions when he's talking about his mom. And like when you see him interact with his mom or interact with anyone and he gets emotional, you get emotional. Me personally, I've gotten so emotional, overly emotional at times, where I'm like, all right, I gotta pause this because I'm getting way too into this, because he is that compelling of an actor and he brings the Flash to life more than anybody else can and will, until I see otherwise, because he is.
All right, hold on. 15 seconds for Alex. Sorry.
Grant Gustin, as the Flash continued, the quality of the series decreased, and it needed him to carry it. But he started giving up towards the end, and it was very clear.
All right. Final 15 seconds, Rob.
Shit. Oh yeah, okay. Grant is the embodiment of hope in the CW world, whereas Margot Robbie, she is great, but she can be a bit much at times as Harley Quinn.
All right, time. All right, D, you're up first. Really quickly, by the way, Rashad wanted to let y'all know that both y'all tripping because Christopher Reeve is the GOAT of DC casting, apparently.
Yeah.
Mike also popped in to say, if I want to see a Flash performance, I'll check out Ezra Miller, said no one.
Say, bro.
D, you're up first this time. Who gets the point?
I'll just make this one easy. I'm going to give the point to Rob because I felt a lot more of the passion. Remember when I said earlier, like, give me more of the why. How do you feel? How does it impact you? And I felt like you gave me all of that this time around. Like, you felt the emotion, you felt, the intensity when he got angry. I felt all of that. I appreciated what Alex had to say about Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, but I just felt more of the emotion and the attachment, the connection to the character with Rob.
All right. Ryan, what about you? Who are you casting your vote for?
Yeah, definitely with this argument, both done amazingly at getting across like the complexity that the actor brings to show these characters. But I just think Alex again had a little bit of a harder time with Harley Quinn because she's easily just referred to as she's just that crazy chick, you know what I mean? But he brought up a good point of how in the Suicide Squad, not the other one, David, the better one, how it's not just a crazy chick. She's dealing with a lot, the abusive relationship. So for myself, just on the argument side, I'm going to go with Alex on this one.
All right, so it's up to me to break the tie. That was a tough one for me because I do agree with what Dee said, where I think Rob made a really good argument for how it made him feel, even though Alex did touch on that as well in terms of his emotion around the second Suicide Squad film that starred Margot Robbie as the character. But then Alex said that line about that Grant Gustin kind of like started like giving up near the end of the show, and I've talked to Rob about that. Like I feel like the later parts of the season, like it just feels like it diminishes. But on the flip side, I would say the best part about those things, and Alex did say that, was Grant Gustin. Despite even if he felt like he was giving up near the end. So I'm going to give the point to Rob personally. So Rob wins this round. It's still anyone's game. Little comeback there from Rob. Alex had that nice little lead there. What was it that I said on your episode with you and Jeremy D? The fat booty lead. Is that what I said?
Oh, Lord, yes. That's always your go-to. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. The fat booty lead. Anyway, Tennis pops in here saying that he gives it to Rob because he wants it to be tied. Well, it is. It is now tied. All right, so we still got some more questions. This is still anybody's game. So let's see how it goes. Moving into the next one, who is the best character in DC Comics overall? This is going to be a really good one. I'm really excited for it. Rob is going to be arguing for The Flash. And as the thumbnail would also kind of hint at, Alex is going to be arguing for Superman. So Superman versus The Flash, a classic race, a classic rivalry that people love. Rob, you went first last time, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So 60 seconds for Alex. Why is Superman the best DC Comics character? Yeah.
Superman is the best DC Comics character because he is literally the first superhero. He is the inspiration of all superheroes. He is literally the blueprint. He has the best character. He is supposed to represent the best of us, of what we can become in ourselves in terms not just of powers, but in personality. And that's his greatest strength. His care, his love for everyone, his value of life, how he wants to protect everyone, he wants to help everyone, and he can win any fight, but he can also heal any soul. He'll rescue people from committing, unaliving themselves off the top of buildings. He will rescue a squirrel from a kaiju stepping on it. He is truly a symbol of what humanity aspires to be and what should be, and he's that inspiration of hope.
All right, time. 60 seconds, Rob. Why is the Flash the best DC Comics character?
Flash embodies the values of justice, courage, and self-sacrifice. Justice because even though his father has been imprisoned for his mother's death wrongfully, he still wants to go about things the right way, even though he could just zip in and zip out and take his dad to safety and then figure out a way. He wants to do things the right way. Justice for his mom's death. He wants to find out who the person is. Courage and self-sacrifice kind of go in hand. There's an animated episode of the Justice League Unlimited series where Flash really shows everybody what he can do, and he knew that he could die because he moved so fast that he literally became light itself. And it just goes to show that the Flash will do any and everything to make sure that his friends are taken care of, his family is taken care of, and even people who he doesn't know are taken care of. He mentioned that like Superman is the like an embodiment of hope. I would venture to say that Flash is equally the embodiment of hope, but also the embodiment of courage, because it takes immense courage to be someone who moves at the speed of light, and even though you can die in an instant, you still
Time. 30 seconds, Alex.
Superman is the most recognized and most beloved fictional character in history. Everyone across the world knows what Superman is. They recognize the logo. There's a phrase that everyone still says, like, "Oh, that's my kryptonite. I can't eat cupcakes. That's my kryptonite." That's from Superman. There's nothing in that regard for the Flash. People will see the Flash logo and will often confuse him with Shazam at points. And the Superman is a character that the Flash looks up to.
30 seconds, Rob.
The people who confuse the Shazam logo and the Flash logo are people who do not know anything at all about comic books. And while that is somewhat true that people can confuse that, the Flash logo is distinctive to him. And that I would venture to say that Flash is equally loved. Yes, Superman is the first one and so high up there, but Superman has been overdone over time so many times. The Flash, we finally got a live action movie. It was terrible, but the CW series kind of makes up for that. And I think that the Flash just embodies a lot of what Superman does.
15 seconds, Alex.
If you look at the reaction of the most recent Superman movie, it started a trend called Hope Corps, inspiring people who watch the movie to go out into their community and help make it a better place. Dog adoptions were increased by like 500% after the Superman movie.
All right. Rob, final 15 seconds, whenever you're ready.
It's very easy to love a hero that has mountains of quality content out, as opposed to a hero who has been kind of shunned because of one really bad installment in Hollywood and somewhat bad installment in live action TV. But the animated series.
All right, good argument, guy. Good arguments. Ryan, you're up first this time. Who are you giving your point to?
Yeah, I've never been massive on Superman personally. Again, just because he is like this all-powerful being thing. But I started to tear up a little bit at the early goings of Alex's argument, just inspiring hope. But for me personally, I'm going to go with Rob on this one. I really enjoyed when he brought up the fact that, the Flash also inspires hope, but he also inspires courage. because yeah, you know, he is courageous. He's a lot more vulnerable than Superman, going out doing what he has to do. So I'm going to go with Rob on this one.
All right, one for Rob. Yeah, I'll just rip the Band-Aid off. I'm going with Alex, and only because I feel like Alex started so heavy with, you know, he's the blueprint. He's the blueprint of superheroes. He's the blueprint of hope and courage and all these great things. The hope core thing at the end, as far as how the newest movie kind of inspired the audience, and then just speaking in general to the impact he's had, and the notion that anybody recognizes his logo. You know, obviously Rob tried to refute that with the whole, like, you know, people don't know comics, but I think that's the beauty of what Alex said, is like the Superman is just like known. He's just like known across the board. You don't even have to think about the fact that whether you know comics or not, like that character just resonates. And it felt at a certain point that Rob was saying essentially what Alex was saying about the Flash, but just kind of pinpointing that, you know, I think it only strengthened Alex's point that like that's where it comes from. You know, that's the blueprint of a superhero. So I'm giving my point to Alex, meaning D has the fun job of breaking the tie.
Okay, so I will start by saying, much like I mentioned in our Los Cinematicos episode, which you may feel free to check out whenever you have the time. When it comes to Superman, I mean, I'm talking about when I was young all the way to now. My general sentiment has always been in my non-native language: me don't care, me don't care, me don't care. Superman has been a non-factor to me, and my experiences with him as a character have either been terrible or non-existent. As I said before, Superman 64 is easily one of the worst video games of all time, and I still
Yes.
don't know how I continue to even consider using Nintendo 64 after that. But I say all that to say, I'm coming back around. I'll say all that to say that I think, Rob, what you should have done is lean more into what distinguishes him from Superman. I feel like a very obvious point is he's all powerful. Where are the shades of gray? Where are the layers? Where are the dynamics? Because for a lot of people, Superman is a very flat character because of everything he can do and so on and so forth. So I think had you leaned a little bit more into that, that would have been more, I think, effective. And I think, Alex, what you did, considering my background with Superman, I always, whether I love or don't love something, love or hate, dislike, whatever in between, I always have respect for the OGs. I always have a respect for an original. And when it comes to the blueprint and anything, I'm always going to pay respect to that. So I like the fact that you made that point. So I'll give it to you.
All right, so Alex has 4. Rob now has 3, which means that this next question, if Alex wins the point, he wins the game. If Rob wins the point, we will go into our final tiebreaker that neither one of these gentlemen are prepared for. Good argument, though, nonetheless. We had some comments in here real quick saying Superman for the win. Superman is DC Comics. Rob better come with it. But we also had, look up, it's a bird. No, it's a plane. It's the Flash. Wait, no, that doesn't sound right. Rob got to bring it on this one. So we had some different takes in the comments, but a good argument nonetheless. And this brings us to the one that could end it all, but we'll see. And that is, who is the worst member of the Justice League? Rob is arguing for Booster Gold, and Alex is arguing for Aquaman. So this should be a lot of fun. I think we're starting 60 seconds with Rob again this time. Yeah. All right. So Rob, 60 seconds. Why is Booster Gold the worst member of the Justice League?
While there is more to Booster Gold that we see later on, overall, he is more about fame and fortune. He uses the idea of heroism to get rich and famous as opposed to actually helping people. He only wants to be seen and heard so that he has notoriety and status as opposed to actually being a hero. He went back in time because he was so unimportant in his time that he went back in time to show people future technology so that he could seem relevant. And so much so that he goes back in time and he gets mentored by his own child and still isn't even up to par. And he gets mentored, his younger self gets mentored by his older self, and he just still has the idea that fame and fortune is what a hero should have, and fame and fortune is what I want, and that's what a hero is. So I'm going to do heroic things so I can get noticed and so I can get money and so I can feel better about myself, as opposed to giving people hope and inspiring them and helping them through their day-to-day needs or if they need help.
Time. That was perfect. You stopped speaking right on the 60-second dot. All right, Alex, why is Aquaman the worst member of the Justice League?
Aquaman is the worst member of the Justice League because he is very limited in what he is able to do. Depending on the mission, as he's away from the ocean, his powers decrease dramatically. So he is not consistently able to give 100% on these missions. So if you have a mission out in space, Aquaman got to stay home. If you have a mission in the middle of land, like Aquaman is good for a few minutes, but over time he's got to leave. He is a very specific character. If you have a mission on the beach or in the ocean, that's your guy. But otherwise, you can't really use him. So more like he's just a placeholder within the Justice League. He may be highly regarded to them, but he's like a rock type Pokemon in a fighting gym. Like you can't really do much with him.
You got 10 seconds if you want it. All right. Time. 30 seconds, Rob.
Aquaman actually brings something to the table with the Justice League. Aquaman actually helps and assists the Justice League. Booster Gold only annoys the Justice League. It makes them hate him. And even though Batman and Superman somewhat gain a little bit of respect for him, it's only because they realize he can be somewhat useful in a certain circumstance. Whereas Aquaman is a valued member and tenured member of the Justice League and actually does contribute to the overall aspect of the Justice League's notion, which is helping others and being there for others and inspiring.
Time. 30 seconds, Alex.
You're able to take Booster Gold into space. He can fight in any place, anytime. His power set, while we do make fun of him, he can fight. He can put hands on people. And especially if you use his arrogance against him, he is very valuable to the team in a situation. He is more of a utility hero. You can bring him anywhere. Whereas Aquaman, he's in the background a lot of the times. Unless he's in the ocean, he's not helping the Justice League. Booster Gold can actually contribute in these battles.
15 seconds, Rob.
Well, I agree. Yes, you can use him. The fact is, he will not do that because he is not a hero. He only cares about fame. He'd rather run away from the fight than actually be in the fight when it's a real fight.
All right. Final 15 seconds. Alex, whenever you're ready.
Booster Gold has one of the best character developments in comics. Aquaman is stale, and he stays the same the whole time.
All right. That was great. I love that, guys. That was really funny. And I also laughed there, too, because Cinematic popped in saying, just Sam has left the chat. Man, that was a tough one. You guys made some really good points there. Growing up as a kid, before we got the Aquaman movies now, where they kind of like reimagined him as like this cool rock star character, I used to always make the joke with my dad that Aquaman was going to stay home and make sandwiches for the Justice League while they were out, doing their whole thing. And so I feel like Alex kind of painted that for me a little bit, I think Rob made a really good argument for why Booster Gold is just like a very selfish character. But I think Alex hit it there in the end that I think that's part of the character's journey. He's he does have moments where he finds that a little selflessness amidst his selfishness. I think that's part of his journey. Whereas I feel like when you think of Aquaman, you do think fish guy, blonde hair, riding on dolphins. And you don't really think of him as somebody who's going to be great in a battle in the middle of a city. Now, on the flip side, I think had Rob kind of brought up some of the more modern day stuff that has utilized Aquaman in the middle of cities, even including in the Justice League movie or whatever, maybe I would have gone that way. But by a hair, I'm going to give it to D. Who are you giving your point to?
Let's see. Well, first of all, I'm usually not here for water haters because I've been an Aquaman fan, so I'm trying to remove the bias here. And I will say that because Aquaman has superhuman abilities, I don't know if you took the opportunity to emphasize that, but there actually is a lot that Aquaman can do. I will say that I understand your point, but because I know what Aquaman is capable of, there's something that kind of diminishes your argument. I will say that Rob, even though I'm not familiar with Booster Gold, and I understand there is an arc there, but I also understand that you also have to deal with the core of the character and their just maybe what they represent as a whole, even outside the arc. So I would just say, going off of what you said, and because I didn't know anything about Booster Gold, you just gave me some things to think about. So I'll give the point to you.
All right. That means Ryan, you got to break the tie, my friend.
Oh, right. So as much as Alex, I do totally understand where you were coming from with like the usefulness of the character Aquaman, just swimming with the fishes. But much like they said, you know, he does have his usefulness, and he is very helpful to the Justice League. And I like what Rob was saying about how he's just like Booster Gold is just money hungry. He doesn't really care for much of what the Justice League really cares about themselves and saving the world. I've personally, not just because of the tiebreaker situation, but I'm going to have to go with Rob on this one. Just I think his points hit home for me more personally.
All right. Well, talk about a show, man. Alex had that sweet lead. Rob came back, and now we are at the tiebreakers. This is what I hoped that this show would be, to be honest. But this
Booster
now it's
Gold was a solid choice. He said Booster Gold. I was like, oh no,
because he does have like a nice, he joins the time. Anyway, we'll talk about it later. But,
no, that was great.
We'll
man.
connect.
When I got the answers from all of you guys, like every week when people send me their answers and I know what they're going to be arguing, I just laugh to myself in bed while I'm reading them. They just make me laugh. So yeah, dead tied. Gotta love it. So this is the time. Yeah, Rashad. This is Rocky versus Apollo 2, the nerd version. All right, so here we go with the final question. This is the one question that these fellows were not prepared for. D got caught off guard by a couple of these a few weeks back, and that is, who would win in a fight? But to make it fun, you guys don't get to decide who you are arguing for. You're going to give me a number from 1 to 10, which will I have a list here of 1 to 10. You will be allotted that hero, and now you must argue why that person would beat the other person in the fight, even if you don't believe it. This is for the win. So Rob, Alex, whenever you're ready, give me a number 1 to 10, and then you will be arguing for that person.
6.
You have
3.
Starfire. Alex is arguing for Starfire. You said 3, Rob?
Yep.
Rob, you are arguing for Deathstroke.
Oof.
Deathstroke versus Starfire. I think, Rob, you went first last time?
Yeah.
So, Alex, 60 seconds. Why is Starfire winning the fight against Deathstroke?
Okay, let's see.
I love that you guys chose also. While you're thinking, Alex, I love that this is like a Teen Titans mashup. I was not expected. I had a bunch of other characters there on that list that are not in any way tied to the Teen Titans, but I love that you guys ended up picking these two.
Wait, that's crazy.
Starfire is part of a race that is bred for combat and conquering. She has immense experience just in hand-to-hand combat, especially in her time with the Titans, in her relationship with Dick Grayson. He's taught her a thing or two. So she has multiple experience in various martial arts. On top of that, she has her vast array of powers. She's obviously has superior strength, speed, reflexes, durability, many enhancements, but she can also fly. She has her famous star bolts, and at this point, she is just at an advantage over Deathstroke in multiple areas that will eventually overwhelm him. And it may be a long fight, but he's not lasting against her.
You got 20 seconds if you want it.
Definitely her ability to fly and just keep distance away from Deathstroke while just throwing her firebolts at him will just overwhelm him. The Deathstroke can't keep up with that for long. He has to be away from her in order to fight her, and it just won't work.
All right, time. 60 seconds for Deathstroke, Rob.
Deathstroke is one of DC's super soldiers, if you will, with the Miracruise serum. So he has enhanced strength, enhanced durability, enhanced senses, enhanced reflexes. So While Starfire is of a different race and probably a little bit stronger, he is equally strong and tough that he could take her on. He's a military tactician. He is an expert combatant, and he literally trained with the League of Assassins. I mean, he definitely could overpower Starfire and catch her at a moment where she's maybe not paying attention, or maybe where she's a little more vulnerable. His expertise with handguns and swords, as I said, military combatant, he is top notch. And there's a reason why the Teen Titans and Deathstroke have many run-ins, is because they both have times where they both win and they both lose. So I firmly believe Deathstroke could take out Starfire given his military experience and his training with the League of Assassins. Specifically, the fact that he trained under Ra's al Ghul and was supposed to be the next successor, but then Damien took that over. But anyway, his immense training.
Time. 30 seconds, Alex.
You said that Deathstroke can catch her off guard. This is a straight up fight. So unless he's catching her off guard, which in this situation is not he's not winning. It will be close. He will he'll put some scratches on her, but like I said, she is just stronger. She is faster. Her powers will just overwhelm him eventually. Unless he is hiding and prep time, he's not going to beat her in just a straight up turn the corner. Hey, let's go throw hands fight.
All right, time. 30 seconds, Rob.
Even though it's a straight up turn the corner, hands on fight, he can still catch her off guard with his gadgets or anything he has. He can distract her. He can do anything he can do in order to catch her off guard. Right? She can just be like, oh, I thought he was going there. Bam. He can get her there. Again, that would come with the immense time that it would take to build up to that fight, because they're both very durable, even though Starfire has a little bit more durability. The tactician in Deathstroke would lead me to believe, and seeing him fight other superpowered beings would lead me to believe that he could definitely take down Starfire.
15 seconds, Alex.
Starfire is also a very talented tactician, but her experience training with the likes of Batman and Nightwing, who use similar gadgets as Deathstroke, will give her an advantage over Deathstroke in this fight.
All right, Rob, final 15 seconds.
Deathstroke has also fought Nightwing and Batman, as we both know. But he hasn't necessarily beat them, but he has sent them retreating at times. So I firmly believe, even though she has that training with gadgets and stuff with Nightwing, he would definitely one up her, because he is not going to hold back. Ooh, damn,
all right, that is the final argument, and this is going to determine who wins. Before we cast our votes to both contestants, the nerdiness, the facts, the knowledge, the passion, it came through today. Whoever wins or loses, you guys were great. And as usual, expect an invite back at some point where you guys get to pop up here and be part of the judges in the future and not have to compete. But it was it's great to see you guys go toe to toe here, and this was a blast. And the links to my fellow judges as well as the contestants are down below. Go give them some love. But with all that said, D, you get to go first this time. Who are you casting your vote for the win?
Before I cast my vote, I would just like to express my empathy towards you both, because I would like to reference the fact that I'm not saying this is the only reason I lost, but I think it's very convenient that all 3 times that Perez had this whole, hey, choose your own answer, choose your own, whatever it is, choose the person you're arguing against. Every single time I chose a different number, I got the worst one. Jeremy chose the same number every single time, and it was always a better one. And both their last names are Perez. I'm not saying that I can't prove anything. I'm just saying, when I went back and looked at it, I was like, I don't know. And you only had one of those rounds here. I don't know. But outside of that, I will simply say that great points to you all. Great points from you all, excuse me. I'll be honest, Rob, you fought valiantly, but you kind of got screwed, because this is just the luck of the draw, and sometimes the draw is against you, as I learned on my last episode. So yeah, and then Alex, all you had to do was throw in the healing factor. Boom, there it is. But yes, I'll give Alex I have to give Alex it, because he had the easier job here. And even though I think, Rob, you were really fighting hard, but it's just like the power structure. It's yeah.
All right. Well, I'll just say real quickly. All right, listen, those were legitimate numbers that you picked last time. I'm not screwing anybody over. Whatever they chose is what they chose. They could have chosen any number here. You know, number 1 was Batman. Number 2 was The Flash. Number 3, what Rob chose, was Deathstroke. 4 was Green Lantern. 5 was Green Arrow. 6 was Starfire, which is what Alex chose. 7 was Mr. Terrific. 8 was Black Adam. 9 was Booster Gold. And 10 was Wonder Woman. So there was some options on there. It could have gone a lot of different ways. Those are just the numbers they chose. Pure honesty, I promise. But anyway, I'm honestly looking forward to having you back in the competitor seat, D. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Ryan, who are you voting for to win it all?
Yeah, I mean, being the fact that these two didn't know what was coming up, just to see that knowledge coming off like that in a heartbeat was just really impressive to see. And yeah, I appreciate the both of you because I've genuinely learned something, and you've given us something extra to go out and see that I never maybe would have thought about before. So I thank you for that, both of you. I thought Alex was going to just an easy win, easy pickup, you know, because of the power levels. But with Rob coming out of the gate with some pretty interesting things to say, I thought it might have actually been a bit more of a problematic battle to Starfire. But I've got to give it to Alex. As Dave was saying, Rob had a difficult one here. But yeah, I've got to go with Alex at the end if I had to pick.
All right, so Alex wins the game. Congrats to Alex. That was a great battle, guys. You guys both did a great job. So whoever won and lost, honestly, I look forward to having you guys back on with different people to compete and to be part of the judges. This is a fun show. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of winners and losers and this, that, and the third. It's just bound to happen. And yeah, Rob, you'll be back on to reclaim your title, just like D will be back on to reclaim his title soon enough. But great job today, guys. Really quickly, I saw a couple of comments in here saying that Starfire's got some good advantages. That if I was Starfire, I would stay in the air and take advantage of that. If I was on the ground, that would go to Deathstroke. This comes down to experience. Cinematic talking about earlier with Aquaman making tuna sandwiches. And great debate and great judges. And yeah, I was actually going to throw my point initially to Rob because I think he was breaking down the tactician part of things really well, and the fact that he has taken on the entirety of the Teen Titans, including Starfire, and whooped their ass plenty of times. But it was right at the end when Rob said that he's taken on Batman and Nightwing, but never properly beaten them, that I was like, okay, this is going to Alex. So obviously, like D said, caught off a little off guard there with the pick a number format. But that was a great time. You guys were great. And again, listen, if you want top tier content, give these guys some love down below. This was a close game. I'm so glad it went to the tiebreaker. You guys, if there's anything that's abundantly clear here, these guys know their DC comics. They love these characters. They love these worlds. So why wouldn't you want to watch their content on that stuff? So please go give them some love. And as I usually like to do to wrap these up, we'll go around real quick. Anything you guys want to plug on your channels that's coming up, anywhere you want people to go check out your stuff, all that jazz, please do that. Ryan, we'll start with you. Anything you want to plug on Not Your Normal Geek?
No, just thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure. And as I say, I really appreciate the things that I've taken away from this. I cannot wait to watch Justice League Doom and Dark. That's the things I'm going to be checking out probably tomorrow, thanks to yourselves. And yeah, I just do on my channel movie reviews predominantly, but daft little short films as well. So if that interests you, check that out. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. D, what about you, my friend?
Yes, hey everyone, this is D Movieman, fellow cinephile, popcorn addict, and emerging film critic, coming to you with reliable recaps, reviews, and reactions, and that is the gist of my channel. I love reacting to the occasional trailer. I like recapping certain TV shows here and there, and then of course I love discussing all things film. Right now, the most recent movie review I've done is Jurassic World Rebirth, which was an extremely unfortunate experience, and if you want to see something that leans into being more of a rant than a review, please feel free to check that out. Outside of that, I have been covering the Gilded Age season 3. I'm actually uploading I'm uploading episode 4 later today. It's been a great season. It is created by Julian Fellows, who also created Downton Abbey, which Perez is a huge fan of. So please feel free to check that out. I also will be covering my first musical fandom film. I've been given an opportunity to share my thoughts on that, so that'll be coming up very soon.
Nice.
And I'm hoping to catch a Screen Unseen on Monday, and hopefully I am not let down and I don't have to leave the theater. So with all that being said, please feel free to check me out, support, do all the things, and I would absolutely love to have you.
All right, hell yeah, man. Really quickly before we hear from our contestants, I just want to see some other comments here saying, "What a battle, guys! 4-5, wow!" And what a way to end the debate. This should go to the DC classics. Yeah, it really was a great showdown. You guys definitely showed up to play. Rob, what about you, man? Anything you want to plug on your channel and things coming up, or what you just recently dropped?
I just recently dropped 2 videos yesterday. What's it called? Jurassic World Rebirth and Sinners. You know, I'm a little late on some things, you know, moving and transitioning jobs and stuff. But yeah, no, I just released those 2. And actually what I'm doing is going through the Superman films as well. And the next video I have coming up is it's a roundup between Superman 3 and 4 because both were not great at all. And it's more of like a, how should I put it? More of a just tearing it apart, really, instead of more of like a review. There's some review aspects in there, but there's that, and then there's a different series that I'm going to be doing too. It's DC related. Go figure. It's kind of comparing and contrasting things in DC, specifically talking about the Authority, especially with this new Superman film that came out. Superman is actually part of the Authority. It's a section of superheroes that dish out their own brand of justice, and yes, that means death. They will kill people based off justice and how they deem fit. But Superman is part of that, and a depowered Superman. But you know, I'll get to that in the video. So it'll be fun to explore that because the Authority is a really interesting group in DC Comics, and the fact that James Gunn is going to take that on too really has me excited. So that's something I cannot wait to get forward to.
Awesome, man. Awesome. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Alex, what about you, my friend? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, so I'm from Haynes for Heroes. So if you're new to the superhero genre, don't worry, I got your cape. So send all your superhero questions to me and I'll get those answered for you right away. Currently about to post a video explaining how the Superman movie leads up to both the Supergirl and the Authority movies. So I'm really excited to bring that out. Look for that to come on Monday. And then by Thursday, I will be dropping a what to know before watching the Fantastic Four. So excited for that movie, by the way. But, yeah, so that's what I got coming up. And looking forward to being here on this panel again. This was so much fun. And thank you for having us. And
Yeah,
Rob,
thanks for having us, bro.
amazing debate. Man, that was so fun. That was so fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, actually.
And we got to set up that DC fan base thing. That was a good idea.
Yeah, but we'll talk, bro.
We'll link up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll definitely be watching if you guys start a DC fan group, something, whatever. Just videos of you guys talking about DC stuff. Clearly, with the both working on videos that have to do with the Authority and Superman, there's clearly great content coming from both of these guys. So go give them some love. As for me, I just dropped a review for I Know What You Did Last Summer, Eddington, The Smurfs, and Sorry Baby. And then on Monday or tomorrow, I should have a review up for Monster Island. It's a new horror movie coming to Shudder that looks like it's inspired by Creature from the Black Lagoon. So we'll see if that's any good. And then on Wednesday, I'll be seeing Fantastic Four. So I'll have that review up on Wednesday night. So it seems like there's going to be a lot of great content coming to all these channels moving forward. But big thanks to everybody watching, whether you watched live or after the fact. We genuinely appreciate it. The links to all of these guys are down below in the description box. Look forward to having them here on the channel soon enough. Once again, for D to come back and reclaim his title as a winner next time around. Ryan's going to be in that contestant chair next time as well. And, next time I have Alex and Rob on, we'll let them sit back a little bit and get to judge the show. So a big thanks to everybody for watching genuinely. And we'll see you guys in the next one, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.